Knight's Cross dangling around it, so we're very anxious to get called off to Berlin for a new award. But it produces a subtle difference, much more individualism on the German side, much less of a sense of moral issues at stake. They were simply a group of professionals who'd been given a job, and so they went about doing it the best they could.
Of course, there were exceptional pilots on the British side too, but Fighter Command frowned on anyone guilty of boasting about being an ace. The most successful RAF pilot during the battle was a South African called Sailor Milan, and his attitude is typical.
I don't really know how many I shot down. Much has been written about the competition between individuals in their quest to be the top scorer. Such competition, in my experience, did not exist. We all did our job, which was to destroy as many enemies as we could. We were not there for personal glory, but as part of a team.
I used not to like the idea of a personal score at all. Not at all. I thought that was a bloody nuisance, that people should be... And it becomes a selfish occupation if you do that. Your aim should be, as a part of your squadron, to help as many of your people to get into a position to make an attack.
In the First World War, if you shot 5 enemy aircraft down, you became an ace. And this was quite significant. It meant that you were a gen man, one of the leaders of the pack. And so I had a private celebration when I'd shot 5 down, had a pint of beer on my own. I never mentioned it to anyone else, so I didn't want to seem silly, really, because it didn't apply in this war, really.
Ace or not, there was no doubting the pedestal on which fighter pilots were placed by the general civilian population.
They didn't know whether you're a fighter pilot or a bomber pilot or a coastal command pilot. The general feeling was we were little heroes.
Well, I suppose in a way we were lucky. We weren't like a poor soldier in a slip trench and the rain and all the rest of it. We fought hard during the day, and those that were left at the end of the day had an English pub to go to, which we'd done in peacetime. You talk to English locals. It's difficult for anybody to understand. You went from one extreme to the other. 1 minute fighting for your life, next minute having a game of darts. Double top, you know.
So we became rather sort of jolly chaps, you know. Let's have another beer, you know. Let's go after girls. My new girlfriend at the time was Barbara, which lasted forever because we're now married. And this is when I first met her. She was a very keen sailor. That was the oddest thing, to be in a punt in the afternoon and looking up at the sky and thinking, well, a couple of hours ago I was fighting the bloody enemy up there. Most extraordinary feeling.
Well done this morning. They were nice having the slightly longer sorties.
Having mastered the basic Spitfire handling, Carolyn is now moving on to skills John and Dave would need if they were to enter combat.
Then we'll do a simulated engine failure, and I'll do it and just show you. You see how much the speed drops off. She's quite nice.
Learning about engine failures and glide speeds are essential. Many pilots had to land badly damaged planes.
But trim the aeroplane to fly, trim the rudder, and trim the elevator to fly slightly, a little bit.
It's easy for our pilots to forget what they were being trained to do. Kill other young men much like themselves.
Well, you'll have to go back to 1937, 36, 37. I used to go to Germany as a boy. I loved them, I really did. I was tremendously impressed by the Germans. Lots of aeroplanes in the sky, which tremendously impressive to a chap aged 17, 16, 17. So that when I fought the chaps in fighters and bombers, they were the same chaps that I met on the ground in Germany. I had no animosity, and the ones we'd shot down and met as captives and very charming fellows.
There was no bad feelings, and I don't think any of the pilots had any bad feelings, because the bloke in that thing with crosses on was only doing the same job as they were for another firm.
Well, when you're a young pilot, when you're a young man, you don't think to yourself, what have you done? Have you killed a man? You just thought, I've brought down an enemy plane.
Du hast ein feindliches Flugzeug abgeschossen.
I shot at aircraft. I didn't shoot at people.
You don't think about the person in it. You can't see him. You're not in close contact with him at all.
Once in a while, though, a pilot might glimpse another human being.
When I shot a bloke down over the sea, he was flying all very close over the sea, and I hit him, and I saw his wheels come down and his hood come off and his engine stopped. And I couldn't have shot him any more than that. It just wasn't in me to go on shooting at him. So I stopped shooting and flew up alongside him, and knowing that he was going to have the crash in the sea, I sort of wished him luck. In fact, I should have shot him down, because he was rescued by his own side. And he came back and shot more of our chaps down. So really, I should have done so. But I couldn't bring myself to it. It wasn't in me to do it.
However, as the battle continued, rumours started circulating about much darker goings-on.
There was a big battle one day, and we were all watching, of course. A parachute came out, and we recognised it was from one of our own aeroplanes. And to our horror, a German came in and shot him to pieces on the way down.
There are a number of incidents on both sides where it was reported that pilots were deliberately shot at. Very few of those can actually be confirmed. One of the few cases which can be confirmed is of German pilots who were deliberately attacked when on parachutes by one RAF squadron, the Poles.
Poland had suffered far greater brutality at German hands than even France had, and it showed.
The Poles were fighting a different war. They were fighting the Eastern War, a no-holds-barred war. They'd seen Warsaw burn. Their country was occupied. They didn't know what had happened to their relatives. Their relatives might already have been carted off. And whilst the British were out to shoot down aeroplanes, the Poles were out to kill Germans. And whether they were in the aeroplanes or out of them was neither here nor there to them.
Well, we were very united. We just hated the enemy, and then all we wanted is to get at him and shoot him.
The two pilots I think a lot of us had more respect for than anybody else were both Poles, Joe Klein and Slagowski. When nobody else would fly, they wanted to. And at Middle Wallop one day, it was a pea souper, the birds were walking. And over came a Jerry, and we could hear it above this lot, buzzing the field. We didn't know whether he was going to just buzz off or drop something. And these two Poles were out and into the cockpit, screaming and shouting at the CO to let him go. No, no, no. And off he went back inside to the ground crew, away, and off they went into this fog. They hadn't gone 10 yards, they disappeared. They got airborne, there were no runways. They knew there were nothing in front of them for at least half a mile, except two hangars, and they were airborne. And they disappeared. The CO was biting lumps out of everything. And then we heard this Jerry come over. I mean, they were most distinctive sound Jerrys. We heard him come over, and immediately behind it, two Spitfires, and they were both firing at it. There were bullets everywhere, you know, and they shot it down. And when they landed, were they in trouble? But that's why we liked them. They were there to do a job, and nothing was going to stop them. The Poles were brilliant.
They have their glory to fight for, and then we have our survival to fight for.
In his third hour of Spitfire training, Dave is being taught how to link up a series of turns, as well as how to glide the plane in the event of an engine failure.
Find that okay? Yeah, you realise how it picks up height as soon as it goes back to straight and level, even when you just translate through straight and level. Yeah.
Our pilots are now close to the point where one of them will be chosen for the full 9-hour Spitfire training course, and one will be on his way home. Back in 1940, as the battle got underway, the pilots were confronted with a far starker reality.